shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets.
There's going to be massive dead people. Like I said, we're coming to the time of the movie The Road. There's going to be certain areas where you're going. You can go to Detroit.
City that's home to the ailing.
That looks
US
like a
car
scene from
industry.
The Road.
Hard times aren't anything new for Detroit.
Go ahead.
The abandoned factories
Ezekiel
and
13
shuttered
and
public
4. O
buildings
Israel,
bear
thy
testament
prophets
to
are like the
decades of the
foxes in the
city's steady
deserts.
economic
You
decline.
have not gone up into the
Infrastructure like
gaps,
Detroit's
neither
main
made
train
up the
station
hedge
has
for the
fallen
house of
into
Israel to
disrepair
stand
after
in the
years of
battle in
standing
the
idle.
day of the Lord.
In other words, this is the time where the men of the Lord is going to be out there on the highways and the byways, pushing His word out, telling you what's going down, all right? Telling you what's getting ready to happen. And we've been saying it for the last, me, myself, I've been saying it for the last almost 26 years. So this, the fulfillment of Habakkuk, the second chapter, it says, if it tarry, wait for it. It shall surely come, it shall not tarry. Well, we're in a time where it shall surely come. It's here, and it's going to get worse. And it's not going to tarry, and it's going to get worse. Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 19, verse 14. The Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof.
And Egypt is referring to this place right here, the modern day Egypt. That's why in Revelation, the 11th chapter, it refers to this place as spiritual Sodom and spiritual Egypt. Go ahead.
As a drunken man staggereth in his vomit, neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail, branch or rush may do.
Yeah, so things are going to get worse. You see what's going on out there in California, parts of California. And this guy, what's his name, Jerry Brown, he was a governor back in the I think it was the late 70s, early 80s. Now he's governor all over again, so he's experienced. And as soon as the first thing he said when he came into office was, there's going to be massive cuts. There's going to be massive service cuts. There's going to be unemployment, massive unemployment. And so the government's going to have to get taxes some kind of way. So what they're going to do, they're going to raise taxes and they're going to cut services. Right. That's what you call austerity. That's why over there in Europe and different parts around the world, they're rioting because they're raising prices. Food is going up, gas is going up, and their money system's going down.
And then, like Elder Charles mentioned in California, now the police out there, they're cutting budgets also. There's certain calls that they will not even answer. You know, if there's certain calls that are not on the list of priorities, they're not even going to answer those things. So the crime rate is going to go up drastically throughout America. You know, and the same, like the Elder Charles has been saying, the same thing that's going on over there in Europe is going to come here to this side of the world. Now you have protesters that have been out there, and you have riot police that have been fighting with the protesters. Now you got police officers that was on the other side fighting against the people in protest. Now they both join together hand in hand, fighting against the government. Because some of the police are waking up and seeing that the governments are corrupt and that the economy is falling apart. So some of them are joining up with the protest against the government.
Yeah, because if they're slowly finding out their backs are being pushed to the wall, so they're slowly finding out that a police officer or sanitation person or fireman, they're saying, well, you know what, man, things are getting so bad, we might be on the chopping board next. And then now they're waking up and they're saying, wait a minute, it's the government that's doing that. But then they're going to go even deeper at somebody behind the government. You know, that's why they want to control the internet, man. Because people are no longer going on different news programs like CNN to really get their news. They're getting their news from alternative news sources, like these people that never went to school to broadcast news. They're almost like broadcasters now. Yeah. Basically, this program that we're doing now is basically a high-powered news program, because we're giving you the news and we're linking it up with the scriptures. All right, go ahead.
This is 2 Ezra 15:1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people.
Well, we're going to stay. That's the main chapter we're going to get into, the main focus. So we're going to stay in this, okay? But before we go into that, I want to show you another clip. Now, this is a guy, this is on Fox News, and the guest is Peter Schiff, financial expert. Also, he ran for a senator for the state of Connecticut. And he goes into that silver, get the gold, the dollar's going to collapse. He's been saying that for a number of years. Now, years ago, they laughed at him, what he said back in 04 and 05. Now they're taking him dead serious. They thought it was a joke when he said it back then. But anyway, he's on this, he's on Fox, I guess it's Business News. And there's a Jake on there by the name of Juan Williams. And he's been doing the news. He's mostly on Fox News. And he was recently fired from NPR for making a statement that they didn't like. Well, anyway, this is the response of a black man after educated black man after Peter Schiff says what he says about this economy and the austerity measures that's coming to this country. What he has to say about the whole thing, he wants to go home, go in under his bed, or go jump in his bed and throw the covers over his ass. So that you niggas are gone, man. And this guy's supposed to have some type of sense. That shows you where the black man's mindset is at. So I'm going to set it up. I'll cue you in a second.
Take a good look at that video. Protesters in Athens, driven by rage, fear, tear gassed, beaten, bloodied in the streets for rejecting austerity measures aimed at pulling the country out of debt. Follow the money stays all over fear and loathing in America, and if you think this can't happen here, you better think again. I'm going to go to my good friend Peter Schiff. What about it, Peter? It's all about keeping Greece from being buried in debt. We're in way deeper debt than a country like Greece is.
Oh, look, it's not a question of when, if, it's a question of when. It's going to happen here. It's going to be relatively soon. We're in the same position. We've made promises that we can't keep. And the reason people in Greece are rioting is because the government is coming forward and saying, well, we can't give you everything we promised. Well, the same situation is here. We're broke. We can't keep our promises. We can't make all the Social Security payments we promised. We can't give all the government retirees the pensions we promised. We can't pay back all of our creditors the money we borrowed. It's impossible because we can't get the revenues from the taxpayers. So we're either going to have the austerity and default and renege, or we're going to have runaway inflation. But either way, there's going to be lots of riots and protests as the economy crumbles in the United States.
Hang in there, Peter, and also Nancy. I want to go to Wayne. What about it, Wayne? Do you agree with Peter that we could be the next? Look this way. If we're not, as a country, the next Greece, California could be the next Greece.
Well, there's something to say to that. It's the seventh largest economy in the world, as you know, in California. Yes, ultimately, that's right. If we continue in this, yeah, you can't just continue to borrow money and not pay it back. One of the things he touched on, which is really interesting, and it could happen even before and presage that, is the fact that you have all these public employee pension plans that are defined benefit plans, not defined contribution plans. A lot of people don't understand that. In a defined benefit plan, you're dead. They are big difference. They are so far under finance right now that it's it's just a question of time.
Means that we know exactly what we're going to owe them for as long as they live, and defined contribution means, hey, it depends how much you put in.
Correct.
It tells you how much.
I'm going to get out as opposed to putting in.
It's very easy.
Hang on, Pete. I want to get to Juan. Juan, what about it?
What's Jake going to say?
If we do, God forbid, go into a situation where we have to default on our debt or do things like print a ton more money, I'm guessing we're going to print money.
Well, I mean, you got to do something. You can't let the country, go to hell. So you got to make sure that we don't get into that situation. Peter, I got to tell you, I want to just stay at home, pull the blankets over my head after I listen to you, buddy. This doesn't sound a pretty picture. But I got to tell you, Peter, here's the thing.
There's another option, Juan.
There is an option. But let me just say, I think Peter is right, more right than wrong in this sense. I think there are large sectors of the American population, and a lot of them are the people who have the biggest complaints about American spending, who are not going to accept the fact that there have to be cuts.
You said the S word, Skinner. What about, how about we cut some spending instead of worrying about being the next Greece?
Well, I agree. Peter, do you want to eliminate the tax cuts, $700 billion for the wealthiest 2%?
Stupid bitch. She don't know. She shouldn't even be on that show.
If you're so worried about spending,
no, I want to slash spending.
Okay,
I want to
but
take.
why borrow? Why dig deeper? Why with those tax cuts?